Well, Bronco Nation, we have made it. Today is the day. I am sitting in my car at the airport, and in a couple of hours, I'll be boarding a plane and flying down to the Fiesta Bowl. This is an incredible moment for us, not just for where we are right now, playing in a CFP game, but the storylines around Boise State compared to where we were last season. And that is the biggest thing I want every one of us to keep in mind, no matter what happens in this game, whether Boise State wins it or whether the results are not how we'd want it to go. I want every one of us to keep that in mind, that the story dynamic around Boise State, the expectations nationally for Boise State are back where they are supposed to be. Last year, headed for one of the worst records in school history, and Spencer Danielson takes over and takes us not just to a Mountain West Championship game, but then takes us this season back to the front of the queue when it comes to the group of five, when it comes to the top teams in college football, the top narratives in college football. And I know Ashton Jeanty has had an incredible season, and he is a huge part of that. But we had Ashton Jeanty last season. We had Dirk Cutter on the team as an offensive coordinator in 2021. The variable that is different this season, the thing that put Boise State in a different spot and maximized the capability and the potential of every player and coach on this roster is Spencer Danielson. And every single one of us needs to be incredibly thankful for where Boise State is today, for the team effort that got us here, and especially for Spencer Danielson. So I want to throw out a couple of my last thoughts, my last feelings on this game before I board this plane and head to a absolute dream of mine, a bucket list item that I am finally fulfilling, finally making it to a Boise State Fiesta Bowl game, and it's the biggest one in school history. And so just real quick here, I know I've done a full preview already on this, a great preview with Jake Posey from Master Football. I highly recommend you guys all check it out. I'll throw a link to that in the description or the comments somewhere of this video. You can find it on my channel in the live area. That was a live video. But just last thoughts here. How am I feeling? Because I did that video almost a week ago. Got it in right after Penn State won their game versus SMU. So had a week or so to digest a little bit the thoughts, see some of the Penn State commentary. Just finished watching the preview that Sean Goodwin did with the Daily Times there, getting to see a little bit of the Penn State side of things. Just finished watching Ball Talk and, of course, all the great content that's on BNN. So there's been other sources and other ways of digesting this game. And so how am I feeling? I'm going to tell you, it's not that much different than I was when I made that preview with Jake. I'm confident. I am very, very confident coming into this game. I'm excited, of course. I'm nervous. I'm, of course, nervous about this game, like I have been about every big Boise State game. I'll be honest, I'm nervous about every game because anybody can beat anybody, and you never know until it's over. And when the stakes are this high, they're going to add a little level of an emotional undertone, and especially when you're playing a team like Penn State that you know is a strong program. But I'm confident in this game. I think that you are going to see a Boise State team that's going to come in here fired up. I talked about it on my preview that I did about how I expected this to be a home environment for Boise State, how I expected the dynamic of this game, the energy in that stadium to be leaning very heavily Boise State. And a lot of Penn State fans, kind of tried to counter me on that or say that, this is an equally big deal for Penn State. And I've just got to tell you here, the truth is, first off, it's not. You can tell by the fan turnout that Boise State fans are definitely much more invested in this game. But here's the other element of it. Penn State's excited to be in this game because it's a playoff game. They're excited for what the game means, the results of the game would mean. But they don't care that they're playing Boise State. This is not a big game in their opponent. This is just another group of five team to them. They're not playing Georgia or Notre Dame. They're not even playing in Indiana or somebody from their own conference who's a Power Four. They're playing a group of five team. And for them, this is just one more step in the road for what's next the rest of the season if they get to have their way. For Boise State, of course, all of that matters too. Of course, everything that happens from here on out, what this game means, expectations, they've described it as a business trip. Of course, all of that matters. But this game itself, not necessarily that the opponent is Penn State, though they're excited to play a good team like Penn State, but this game, the Fiesta Bowl game, what this game means for Boise State school history. I know Penn State has a long history as well, but Boise State's Fiesta Bowl wins in this game have been some of the most meaningful in the modern era of college football, and those 3 wins are certainly more meaningful than the majority there of those 7 games for Penn State and their wins as well. Boise State, this means more to the players. You can see it in the fan turnout, the way that Boise State fans have taken over Glendale. You can tell in the energy of the players, like they were talking about on the Ball Talk episode, and the energy in the interviews. You can tell that this game means something more. Again, this is just another matchup. Penn State's taking it seriously, but at the other end, Boise State is more invested. And there's a level, especially when you come to the postseason, especially when you get to the bowl games or the CFP, there is another level there that goes beyond simply roster talent or game plan. There's an element of motivation and energy. And Boise State right now has the edge in motivation and energy. And I'm also feeling good about the matchups here, especially continuing to dig more into both of these programs. Obviously, Boise State all season, that one didn't need more digging into, but continuing to hear the Penn State side of things, I am even more confident than I was before that Boise State can go out and win this game. Because while I would agree that Penn State has an incredible player, I mean, one of the best probably the best tight end in college football, I think you could probably say that hands down. And they have a very strong running game. And yeah, Boise State has struggled against the pass at times this year. Well, not at times this year, pretty much consistently throughout the year, really up until the Mountain West Championship game where they really kind of pulled it all together. And they have struggled at times against the running game. The area of the field, though, that they have excelled is in the red zone. I think that you're going to see Penn State move the ball successfully, because Boise State, I think, is going to be selling out to stop that run game. It's going to put the corners, they're going to have to step, the corners and safeties, I think, are going to have to be putting themselves on islands a little bit, maybe stepping back a little bit further from the line of scrimmage there. And I think that you're going to see Penn State have success in that middle of the field. They'll be able to hit the run, or they'll be focused on the run, and there'll be some room out in not the deep. I think Boise State will do a decent job in this game of stopping the deep ball, but I think there'll be some opportunities in the middle zone. And I think in that area, I think that's where the tight end offense is going to thrive. I think for both teams, this is going to be a very tight end heavy offense, or a very tight and heavy explosion for both of these offenses. And so I think that they are going to have success. But once they get down inside of the 20, inside of the 15, in that area where Boise State has thrived, things are going to change, because Boise State is very, very good at coming after the quarterback and putting pressure on the quarterback. And in those moments when the field is shortened, the corners and safeties, while they still may be getting put on islands, it's a much more reduced area of coverage. They're not going to have to back up quite as far. The opportunities to the tight ends are going to be less available. Even if you're coming down to stop the run, the ability to get back into the field that is available for play is going to be much easier for the linebackers, the nickel, whoever is coming down to plug those holes. They'll be able to step back and plug that defensive vulnerability quite much more quickly when they're down inside the red zone. I think you're going to see a Boise State defense that, yeah, they give up yardage in between, but when Penn State needs a few yards and they're focused on that short yardage situation in the goal line, or a very fourth and short type situation if they're going for it, or something like that, where Boise State has thrived all season long, I think you're going to see Boise State's defense step up. And so, yeah, I would not be surprised to see Penn State run the ball in between the 20s quite effectively, but I think they're going to come up short quite a few times in the red zone. On the other side of things for Boise State offensively, I think that you're going to see Penn State swarming Ashton Jeanty. I would not be surprised if in the first quarter he had less than 50 yards. I think that Penn State is going to be selling out to stop Ashton Jeanty. You're going to see something that we've seen quite consistently with teams throughout this season, and the back half of it anyway, where teams will go all out to stop Ashton Jeanty. He's still getting 3 or 4 yards on you, but it's taking 7 guys to do it. They're coming down tight, and you're not having any opportunities to break it outside and have those big yardage runs. I would love to see Jeanty, pull a Jay Ajayi for the 2014 Fiesta Bowl and break a 50-plus yard touchdown right off, first drive of the game. I'd love to see all of that. However, I think that you will see Penn State selling out early in this game. However, when they are doing that, Maddox Madsen's going to have his opportunity to thrive. Maddox Madsen's going to show them that they cannot play that way. I think they are going to, in the first quarter, play that way. And Maddox Madsen and this Boise State offense that has built a lot of consistency. The pass defense, or not pass defense, but the offensive line blocking for the pass has gotten better and better throughout the season. There's a reason that Maddox Madsen's taken very few sacks and thrown very few picks. Part of it is his incredible field awareness and that he does such a great job of taking care of the football. But the other big part of it is, and another big part that Ashton Jeanty's had such a successful season this year, is because of that offensive line for Boise State. And this is the best they've been all year. This is going to be the best offensive line performance you have seen all season long. They were healthy for the first time since the first game of the season a couple weeks ago in the Mountain West Championship game versus UNLV. They were an opportunity to knock the rust off. They looked great in that game. There was their knock the rust off game opportunity, and now they've had a whole few weeks here to prepare and get ready and get stronger and get more in sync coming into this game. And so I think you're going to see a Boise State offensive line that in the run game, even with a sack the box 7-man swarm, is still going to be able to churn out some consistent yardage, just maybe not the breakaway play type yards. I'm not saying they're going to stop him in the backfield every time. You're going to see a couple of those. Of course, this is a very good defensive line, very good run stopping defense. They're going to stop Ashton Jeanty for some negative yards from time to time, but it's not going to be consistent. But he's also then not going to break away, at least in the first part of this game, for those longer runs, most likely. But this offensive line that's been giving such great protection to Maddox Madsen is going to improve on that. They're going to improve on the pass protection, the continuity between the wide receivers, healthier wide receivers coming back. Capel's coming back stronger here from his injuries that he suffered, some of the issues he was dealing with some earlier on in the season. I think you are going to see a Boise State pass offense with Maddox Madsen fully confident now, cemented as the quarterback, not just for this season as he has been, but given that confidence nod going into next year as well. Malachi Nelson transferring out. And in the big game moment, the big game opportunity, I think you're going to see Boise State's passing game do what we've seen them do for almost every first half, the back end of this season, which is be very strong and effective in the passing game. And I think you're going to see a San Diego State-esque type of offensive performance for Maddox Madsen in this first half, where Penn State is trying to stop the run. And then they're going to find out that they can't do that they cannot simply sell out. You're going to see maybe switching more to an attempt at a balanced look, something closer to what we saw with UNLV. And I think that is when you're going to see Ashton Jeanty shine in the back end when he's getting stronger, second quarter moving into the second half of this game. I think that Penn State will have their opportunities. I think it will be a close game going into the second half, but I think at Boise State, they're going to be winning that field position battle all night long. Special teams, Boise State has a definite edge in the special teams, and I think that this is going to be a game that is very focused on the running game, very focused on the tight ends. We mentioned, of course, the incredible tight end that Penn State has. But Boise State, of course, I mean, they have an incredible tight end in their court as well. And with that focus and swarming to stop the running game, I think you're going to see Louder have a huge game in this one. I think that he's going to be one of those primary threats. I think that they are going to look to him, especially if you've got Carter, who I think that Penn State's going to trust to anchor his side of the line. You might see them shading to the other side of the field, which if you line up Louder on Carter's side and give him a little bit of an out opportunity, I think you're going to see him finding some more openings where there's maybe some vulnerables and weaknesses for Penn State, at least early on in the game. I think both teams will do a good job of making adjustments. However, in the end, Boise State behind Ashton Jeanty in the second half, and behind Maddox Madsen in the first half, and behind a resilient defense that has done an incredible job of making adjustments all season long. I know both teams are great second half teams, but Boise State has been a better first half team or first quarter team than Penn State has. And of course, at the end of the day, the motivation factor is there, the energy factors. I think you, Bronco Nation, being there in the stands as you have sold out now to come and attend this game, I think that you are going to have a major impact in the end result. So go out there, be loud, wear the orange, and let's all make sure that Boise State gets this big win. I do think that Boise State wins this game. I will adjust my score prediction a little bit. I was predicting 34-24. I do think that it's going to be a little bit more of a low scoring affair. I think that you're looking probably maybe more towards a 27-20 type of score, maybe a one possession versus a two score game. I think Boise State, though, does win this game. I'm incredibly excited, and we'll see whether I'm right in a few hours here, about 10 or so hours before Boise State kicks off versus Penn State. I cannot wait to attend. Can't wait to see many of you there. Thanks so much for watching. I know we're all equally excited for this one. And again, if you want a more in-depth preview, and I'm just kind of spouting off the top here, I don't have my notebook with all my stats and everything else. If you want a more in-depth, statistically driven preview, and also some great insight, of course, from Jake, make sure, or Matt from Master Football, make sure you guys go watch that full game preview that we did. Thanks so much for watching. Let's go out and be loud. And as always, go big, boo!